Heads held high or time to panic. Losing El Clasico is never easy, especially when you know you could have had more. But between the chaos, the cards, and the comeback attempts, this one did have everything in it. So, what did we really learn about Hansi Flick's Barcelona today? Well, in episode 741 of the Barcelona Podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network, I'm Dan Hilton, and a big appreciation for everybody that joined me on the watch-along stream on BigUp.com and played the fantasy lineup game. I appreciate all of you, as well as everybody who has checked out the YouTube channel over the last few months here. We've had a ton of new people joining the show and being a part of this community. So I really appreciate all of you. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, give a like, leave a comment, and all that. And also help me out on the podcast apps by leaving a review or become a Patreon to continue to help me make these shows. I will be back next weekend for the watch along. So please join me for that one. Again, always appreciate to hang out with people in the chat and the like. So to build up there, let's get into it. Here are the 5 headlines from Barcelona's 2-1 loss to Real Madrid in El Clasico. Headline 1 is Mbappe is Barca's nightmare. With Hansi Flick watching from above and Marcus Sorg on the sideline, it was almost an even worse nightmare start for Barcelona, as they were almost punished in the first 90 seconds. Lamine Yamal tripped up Vinny Jr. inside the box. Good thing is he did get back to defend the counter. That was the good news. It looked like the bad news that he tripped Vinny Jr., but VAR had the ref look at it, and it was Yamal's foot that was planted, and it was Vinny Jr. that created the contact. So Barca a bit fortunate there. What they were fortunate about in that first half is that they started completely flat. The pressing triggers were late, and it was all connected. Lamine Yamal would go to press Hilton, and Koundé would stay at home on Vinny Jr., so Paredes or Güler had to be pressed by De Jong, and usually he did a good job cutting down the space and choosing between the two. But Madrid often had a player alone at the edge of the box to create some havoc. It didn't help that Barca's passing under pressure just wasn't up to snuff either. Barca had another close call when the ball wasn't won in the midfield. It falls right to Mbappe, who hits a beauty on the half volley, offside by the smallest of margins, and Barcelona's still fortunate there. In particular, I'll say Lamine Yamal's passing was not crisp in the first half. It just wasn't good enough. The wall pass back to Koundé, sure, that was on, but anything moving forward or going forward, even on the dribble for Lamine Yamal, was not getting off in that first half, and that was a lot of weakness on the right side. Because Bellingham was overloading that left side and breaking up the combination between Balde and Rashford, while Rashford and Balde I thought were both fine, Bellingham's extra body in there meant that Barcelona could not use that left sideline the way that they did against Olympiacos to then cross the ball to Lamine Yamal. When the ball did find Lamine, it was a 1v1 against Paredes. You have to take advantage there, and Lamine, either with passing or with his dribbling, couldn't get the job done in the first half. And that sloppy play from Barcelona cost them. Mbappe finally got through for the opener, and it's really simple stuff from Madrid too. Bellingham delivers a through ball as Mbappe played off Kubarsi's shoulder. It was Balde that kept him on, and Mbappe was in Kubarsi's blind spot, so no chance for Barcelona here. It's 1-0 bad guys. Headline 2, Fermin López gets it clean. There was a worry at that point. I really was concerned that Barcelona was going to roll over in Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu in front of their home crowd. That was definitely up to this match. The energy was there at the Santiago Bernabeu, so I was worried Barcelona was going to roll over at that point. Fortunately for Culés, they didn't. They didn't truly find their footing, but they didn't concede again. The first shot on target for Barcelona came to Ferran Torres in the 34th minute, but very much like a lot of his teammates, he just didn't have enough on it, or he wasn't on target. That was the issue offensively, but Barcelona did deal throughout that first half with Madrid's counters, I thought, rather well. And for all the criticism of Barca's press in the first half, it worked for the goal at least. Pedri pokes it away from Güler, Rashford reset possession to Balde, back to Rashford on the run in behind. It's a cutback to Fermin, and the one-time finish is terrific. Opened up his hips, struck with the inside of the boot, and it had too much pace for Courtois. I'll say, Fermin López has been a big-time player in his career, and I hope that continues as he continues to improve as a player. He had the most shots on target of anybody in either uniform, and he looked up to it. He is a technical player coming from La Masia, but he isn't the most technical in comparison to even the likes of Tony Fernandez or Dro Fernandez. But that energy today was essential for Barcelona's survival. Headline 3, defensive disorganization. Unfortunately for Barcelona, Madrid had the equalizer, and Barca could not sustain that momentum. First, Pedri gets a yellow in transition. It's a professional foul, but the yellow is completely wasted. It's in vain because Madrid scored anyway on the following set piece. With Vinny Jr. having the game that Lamine Yamal needed to be having in the first half, Vinicius was so lively in that first 45, and Lamine just didn't have it. Vinny put the cross in, and Balde lost out to Militao on the header. Kubarsi and De Jong both went to Hilton, and no one tracked Bellingham, who was free at the back post for the easy tap-in. 2-1, And crazy to think that we're done talking about the scoring in this match, and crazy to think that Madrid only got 2 from that first half. Headline 4, a second half response. A lot of credit to whatever was said in the locker room at halftime, because Barcelona did have a response coming out of the locker room. Balde started really brightly, getting out of pressure, both with the pass and the dribble, but again, a Barca shot doesn't have enough on it to trouble Courtois. Then there was a chance at more controversy. Eric came sliding in against Bellingham. The ball ricochets around a whole bunch and hits his arm. The moment the ref was told by VAR to look at it, I knew this was going to be a PK. In live time and by the letter of the law, it was not a PK. But once this was slowed down to slow-mo and we got to see this over the ref's shoulder, I understand that VAR wanted to look at it for this reason. So I knew it was going to be a PK. However, Madrid didn't account for Chesney on the day, who saved Mbappe's penalty. Mbappe loves to go left, and the experienced keeper knew that too, and winds up saving this PK. It wasn't about Mbappe missing. This was all on Chesney. Good on him on the day. And that PK save seemed to galvanize Barcelona just as much as they were coming out of the halftime break. They had control and tempo that they hadn't had in that first half at all. The passing triangles started to click, the press won the ball higher a few times, and the mini-ball finally showed up. He played his best ball of the day in the 53rd minute, but Fermin, who I had complimented already, made the wrong choice with a weak shot in a 3v2 counter. We all knew he was going to shoot, but you got to pass there, buddy. I'll also say I really liked the Jong second half. By full time, he had played as a pivot, as a 10, and as a center back, and he was good everywhere today. Pedri was his normal Pedri, maybe not his best, but still, again, his worst is pretty good and something that Barcelona can deal with. So I do want to make sure I mention Pedri, yes, but De Jong raised his level in the second half and was one of the best on the pitch, if not the best after that missed PK. With De Jong and Lamine more involved, that got Ferran Torres more involved too, but the finishing and the final passes just let Barcelona down even in the second half. But I was happy to see that they kept on fighting and they did not concede after that 2-1. Then headline 5, late chaos and red card ending. Vini Jr. was yanked by Xabi Alonso in the 72nd minute, and he did not like that choice. He wasn't as effective in the second half, so rightly got pulled, and he got heated and never cooled off on that bench. For Barcelona, the move was Castro and Araujo on for Ferran Torres and Eric. Fermin moved to the inverted left wing and Rashford at the 9. I liked it, and you know what? This worked. Araujo and Castro were both positive after coming on, but I disagree that Araujo should have been playing striker or that this should have been the starting 11. I am answering a little bit about the question I asked you earlier, but I think that Hansi Flick got it right with his 11 and the players he chose. It just didn't work out in that first half. 89th minute, here's the moment that we knew was the moment when the draw slipped away, despite 9 minutes of stoppage time. Koundé found the run in behind, Lamine over the top to him, a beautiful ball, but the touch off his chest was too heavy. Why didn't he just head it? That's a question that I think only Koundé knows the answer to, and that meant that Barcelona were going to fall 2-1 in this matchup. Pedri also saw red in stoppage time after a heavy touch and a desperate tackle, sparking a massive confrontation between the benches. Not sure what was said, but Vini, Balde, and Lunin were all mixed up in it. The silver lining, I guess, for Pedri, I know he does need to play to keep his fitness, but I think a rest for about a week would not be such a bad thing for the Spaniard because he does look tired in these second half of games. It was one of the most contentious endings to a Clásico that I have seen in quite some time. And what that tells me is that's two squads that are really behind their managers. And that's a positive, I think, for both teams. There were big emotions and good resilience from Barca, despite the nightmare of a first half. Still, the reality is hard to ignore. Barca now sits 5 points behind Real Madrid in the Liga table, which is frustrating. So I'll ask that question again. Is it heads held high or is it time to panic? I think it depends on your perspective. Flick's vision is clear. It's just a question of whether or not this squad, with its lack of depth, can get enough results with that vision. So let me know your thoughts. Did Flick get his tactics wrong, or did the players fail to execute? We can continue to talk about that next weekend for the watch-along against Elche, or hit me up on social media wherever you can find me. Subscribing to the YouTube channel is a good way to do that too. So I will say, while I am disappointed, I am happy with the team's fight. A little bit of bad, a little bit of good, and as always, Culés forever. So, Forza Barça.